This is the Villa Download. We break it down, your dose of love, violence and beyond. From the villa to the latest shows. This is the Villa Download, where the real story always flows.
Hello, and good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Villa Download, where reality TV meets real talk and no conversation is off limits. And tonight we're diving back into The Snake, the Fox reality TV competition that had all of us hissing with drama, deception, and some surprisingly deep life lessons that we did not expect. And as Kimberly can let us all know, we had quite the journey through the snake pit already. Kimberly, break down some of the interviews we've done already.
Oh, wow. So Catherine we had was the first interview. That was so much fun. And it was so great to sit down with one of my favorite villains. And gotta admit, she's one of my favorite villains. And then, of course, we had Brett, which was a lot of fun and a bit controversial. So we're gonna get into that a little bit later. I can't wait to see your take on that as well. And then, of course, we had Frank, which was amazing. And I mean, I'm sure we'll see him on our camera soon, or TV soon. As long as, also with our other contestants, I feel. But I mean, talk about it made I binge watched The Snake not once but twice. So I am so happy that you're here, Jacob.
Likewise.
This is exciting.
It is an honor to be here. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it is our honor. We're looking forward to getting to know more about you as well. But tonight, though, we are talking about the man who made faith, authenticity, and inclusivity part of a show built on manipulation. Something I did not see coming. I did not see that coming, Pastor Jacob. But the one viewers dubbed the Snake Pastor, and who became one of the most talked about players of the season. So, Pastor Jacob Buchholz, am I saying it correctly?
That was perfect. I'm amazed. Yeah, Buchholz.
Oh my God, because I'm normally horrible at names. Thank goodness. Woo. But yes, you're not your typical reality show contestant. You are a progressive pastor from Claremont United Church of Christ who stepped into the snake to challenge stereotypes about religion and to show that faith doesn't have to mean exclusion or judgment. I was just looking at your Instagram post right before our recording tonight. So love that. Can't wait to get into that more. But on the show, Jacob, you brought compassion, honesty, and let's be real, a little bit of chaos. You did.
I never liked the pastor from the start, and I told him probably about 50 times too many.
I've been very surprised by Pastor Jacob's play. He's not as much of a community gatherer. He's more of a create dissension, and he's in trouble. He's in big trouble because that group did not spill out the way that he thought it would. And he's going back to a very tense house.
But, yep. You made allies, you faced betrayals, and even chose to self-eliminate to protect another contestant.
As a pastor, I really hope that people trust me. I want them to. They should trust me. I'm a trustworthy person. My attempts to bring to light some of the lies that have been told in the house, I thought was going to be an effective way to continue in the competition, but unfortunately it didn't work.
Since Jacob has sacrificed himself, Derek, you have been saved. Jacob, that was a selfless act, mate.
Just like Jesus. Derek is the source of good, working against the evil in the house. He is the one person who I know has the fortitude to keep fighting.
I've really enjoyed our time together. It's been a really good time.
Thanks, Derek.
Oh my God, Derek needs to go as soon as possible.
But what really stood out was how you navigate representing your faith in game built on deception. So we are very thrilled. Kimberly and I are very thrilled to have you on tonight, back in the snake pit with us. So thank you again for joining us tonight.
Yes, absolutely. Can't wait to talk about everything. The snake was such an incredible, unique, unexpected experience. So I am excited to be back talking about it.
Wonderful. Before though we jump into it real quick, make sure that you guys are subscribed to our channels, either Danny Gossip Girl or Pop Culture Expose, or This is Kimberly A. Bryan, but soon the Villa Download. We will be rebranding all under the Villa Download within the next week or two. So be on the lookout. So it won't be as confusing moving forward. So guys, thank you for your patience for that. But follow, like, subscribe, leave a review, all of that good stuff. So let's get into it. Pastor Jacob, what made you want to join a show like this in the first place? Because again, on a show like The Snake, you never anticipate to see a pastor on the show. So what brought you to this?
Yeah, the first time that I knew anything about the show was actually through my wife, who's my co-pastor. And since she was in college, she's always been part of the Screen Actors Guild. She's done a lot of commercials back in her day. And so she saw an ad come across her email that just said that they were looking for a pastor specifically for a new reality show. And they were just going to be testing it out to see how the show worked. And it was being branded as a show about persuasion, bringing people from different professions that know how to win people over. And I thought to myself, when is a reality show ever looking specifically for a pastor? So I thought it was interesting. I sent in my application, didn't hear anything back for probably like 8 months, and then got a call that they were casting for the actual show and would I be interested in interviewing for it. And at the time, it was just kind of a thought experiment. I didn't think it was something that I would seriously do, but I thought it was funny that they called me back. And so I just kind of rolled with it. And then it started to become more and more serious. And so I just started thinking to myself, like, do I really want to leave my wife and child for that long? Could I leave the congregation I serve for that long? But what really kind of made me say yes to the experience was just this idea that if this show is going to cast a pastor to be on a national television reality competition, then I don't want it to be a pastor who might represent the faith differently than I would. So someone who would be anti-gay or anti-immigrant, especially in this current climate. I wanted it to be someone who could put out a more inclusive message. So I thought, let's just do that, see what comes of it. And that's why I said yes to it. I didn't know it was going to be called The Snake and I was going to be a master manipulator, but that's what I was on. And more to talk about with that, but that was a surprising revelation when we jump into the game and we find out that we're on a show called The Snake.
So did they give you any name for the show?
The show was originally being billed as Win Them Over. And so I thought, oh yeah, I can do that. I can win them over.
Wow, I didn't know that. But getting back to the original question, I have to say, first up, props and kudos to your wife. Ultimate like team player with you, with getting you set on this journey. So I was wondering, how would your wife handle that? Would she be okay with that? So she had to be obviously a little bit okay of it because she did kind of kickstart it, so to say. Not that it's still not hard because, with having kids, it is totally about teamwork, but you also want, your better half. So I'm sure it was still hard, but hopefully she was a little bit more okay with it.
Yeah, she was incredibly supportive. She knew that if I didn't do it, I was always wonder what it would have been like if I had said yes to it. And so she's the one who really encouraged me to move forward with it. And not only was she taking care of our daughter, but as my co-pastor, she was running the whole church by herself. And we have an incredible church community. So lots of friends were having her over for dinner every night and just being a village and helping take care of her and my baby.
Oh, how nice. I'm happy that they were able to do that so that we could have a very inclusive pastor like yourself. This last year has been so stressful where it feels like the world is burning around us, our community is burning around us. So, it's nice to have that type of shining light or like positive aspect to look to know that there's still some good out there. Not to go too far down a rabbit hole about that, at least not yet. So thank you for doing that and being representation for that.
Yeah.
But how did you balance being a pastor with a game built on deception?
You will compete to become the snake, the most powerful position in the game.
You guys are going to need me. Who's going to need you?
Everyone's lying.
Yeah, actually that kind of shifted for me as the competition went on because I went into this thinking this is a game and I'm going to play it like a game. I like to play poker. When you're playing poker, you bluff. You don't tell other people what your cards are. And so that's part of the game is to bluff a little bit. And in college, I would play the original version of what the Traders has become. We called it Mafia back in college, where someone is the mafia and everyone else is the citizens. And in that, you don't tell everybody if you're mafia, you deceive and you bluff and you play the game. And so I went into this thinking everything's on the table. Even though I'm a pastor, I'm here to compete. I'm here to win the money. And I want to be able to just play the game as a game. I felt like we were all coming into that with a common understanding that it was a game. But as the competition went on, what was really interesting to me was how real reality television is and realizing these are people that have different experiences with religion. Perhaps they're coming into it with a little bit of religious trauma. They have preconceptions about what a pastor is. And so over those first couple of days, I realized that even though it's a competition, this was real life. It wasn't just a game. And I wanted these people that I was playing with not to go home and say, I was lied to by the pastor, or the pastor deceived me. So my strategy shifted a little bit to where I wanted to present myself as someone who they could trust, not just in the competition, but in real life, that when we left that game, they had met a pastor who they could genuinely reach out to if they needed something, or trust or look to for advice or counsel. And so it was hard to balance that. When my strategy shifted, I just said to myself, you know what? I want to play this game as strategically as possible, but I'm going to do it by just having open and honest conversations with people. I did that really unstrategically sometimes, where it totally worked to my disadvantage. There are ways in which I could have done that better, but there are ways in which I'm happy with the fact that I just kind of chose to be myself in that moment.
Right. But Pastor Jacob, you said you wanted to show that Christianity can be inclusive. Do you feel that you were able to succeed in having that shown?
That's a really great question. I hope so, in small ways and little ways. There were moments I had with the other contestants that I felt were really deep and meaningful conversations, and ones in which I got to share my inclusive approach to Christianity, or what I understand to be actual Christianity, or the actual teachings of Jesus, which I think are inherently progressive and inclusive. And so I'm really grateful for those conversations. They showed one of those when I was able to connect with Alyssa and just let her know, like, I came to your defense in this moment because I truly believe that you are professional, to be respected and to be supported and loved. And so I'm glad that they showed that moment.
When Fox first announced its new reality competition, The Snake, I saw people on social media commenting, there's no way that guy's a real pastor. A real pastor would never go on a show about lying and deception. And now that people are watching me play the game by trusting people and having integrity and honesty, they're saying, what are you doing, pastor? You should be lying and deceiving. That's the point of the game. Backstab somebody. That sort of double standard doesn't bother me in the least. Pastors deal with those double standards all the time. But what does bother me is someone questioning whether I'm a real pastor for defending someone's livelihood. It was a deep honor to me to stand up for Alyssa, an OnlyFans creator, because Alyssa has an incredible soul. She is so kind and generous and funny and intelligent. But that made one podcaster say, a pastor would never say that. Take a listen.
Pastor Jacob is a friggin' what an idiot. What a stupid idiot.
Yeah, and there's a couple things that really made me question: is he actually a pastor? When he was like, he said like what the OnlyFans person was doing, or the girl was like, it was alright, and I was like, I don't think a priest would say that.
Well, here's what a pastor would say. A pastor would say that God loves everyone with no exceptions. A pastor would say that you should get to know someone before you judge what they do. A pastor would say that you shouldn't put God in a box of human-made limitations because God is always doing something so much bigger than you can imagine. And a pastor would say that God can expand anyone's capacity for love and compassion if you open yourselves up to it, even yours. Does that sound like what a pastor would say? I think it at least sounds like the good news that
I brought
Jesus
with
preaches.
me a couple of T-shirts that kind of proclaimed the message I had. They showed one of those. I think in episode 2, it was kind of a rainbow flag shirt that just said, "Science is real, Black Lives Matter, love is love." And I had another shirt that I really wanted on, but I had worn it, but it didn't make the edit, that just said, "Trans rights are human rights," which is a really important message for me, especially in a culture today where trans folks are really persecuted and a lot of their rights are being stripped away. So that was a message I wanted to get out there. And if not on the show itself, just having this small platform to engage with people in the real world on social media has been wonderful. And it's not a lot of folks, but at least some folks have found me through the show, and I'm grateful for that.
Very nice.
I do have a quick question. Were any of your castmates surprised by you coming in as a pastor? Were they surprised by how like open-minded and open-hearted that you actually were?
I think that they were. I think they had no idea what to expect. I pop out of the crate. I'm wearing a clergy collar. For most people, their only experience of that would be a Catholic priest, and so you're going to have a certain set of expectations or presuppositions about the way a Catholic priest operates. And so I'm sure that some of them were wondering how I felt on issues like same-sex relationships, especially having contestants that were part of the LGBTQ plus community. And so for me to come out to them as a supportive ally, I think was surprising to folks, both where they liked it or maybe they didn't like that, but I don't think a lot of people had been exposed to Christianity that is focused on justice issues. So that was what the show was about, was bringing in professionals and trying to challenge our stereotypes or ideas about what those professions represent.
And I think that's the reason why I keep on being brought back to. I've never seen such an eclectic bunch be brought together since the old school real world days. First of all, you guys each have such unique, dynamic personalities, especially with Kimberly and I having the pleasure to get to know you guys more. You guys are both all so dynamic, but it's such an odd group to put together, but yet it works. And there has been some really good friendships.
You're right.
Yeah, it's been fun reading the. Oh, I'm sorry, Kimberly. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What were you
It's like
saying?
everybody's different, like careers, types, like their jobs and their personalities. Just like it just filled in all these like different holes that, and like it made it all come together, which I thought was really cool. So it was fascinating because, like, what other circumstance, like Danielle said, it's been since the real world, like way back in the day, that we've seen something like that. So it was super awesome.
I had fun reading the messaging boards where people would comment about the snake, and sometimes people were really mean on there to some of the contestants. So if you're watching this, don't be mean online. But
Yeah, for real.
people had great analysis, and one of the things a lot of people said was, I came into this. I think one of my downfalls was not knowing a lot about reality TV. I wish I had come into this knowing more. I probably haven't watched Survivor since season 3, or seen any episodes of it. I've never seen Big Brother. And so I wish I'd had a little bit more understanding or context about what these reality competitions are like or how the dynamics play out. I think that would have helped me. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed watching people say, this feels like old reality TV, where it was just regular people coming in, drama, chaos, bringing their unique personalities. So I'm glad that resonated with folks.
Yeah, and you guys didn't have to try too hard either. So kudos for casting on that. Casting, you guys did a phenomenal job. So bring it for season 2. I'm hoping there is a season 2 of The Snake. And that some of you OGs get brought back later on and shock the cast. That would be really
so
fun.
That would be cool.
Yes. Now, were you nervous at all about what your congregation would think? Did you have a conversation with them beforehand? Was a conversation able to happen? What was going through your head? I mean, obviously you have the support of your wife and you guys are co-pastors together, but how did that play out?
I have an incredible congregation. And so when this was happening and I was about to fly out to Argentina to be on the show, I told what's basically our HR committee at the church. And I just said, hey, I've got a wild thing that I'm about to tell you, but I need to leave for a month maybe to go on a reality television show. And I was shocked at how super supportive they were from the very first moment. They just said, hey, this is a great opportunity for you to share this wider message with the world of what inclusive Christianity looks like. You have our blessing. Go do it. And then afterwards, when I could finally share with the congregation what was happening, they loved it. We had watch parties at a local brewery.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and
that's awesome.
Plus, people would come out to the brewery to watch it with me and cheer, and they have been awesome.
Oh, I love that.
Cool. And it's funny how it's like people come out of the woodwork to support you. So you got more support probably than you thought you ever would have gotten.
Yeah, I did. And even though it was this show about manipulation and deception, I think they were just curious how I would navigate it. And I think in the end, they've just shown me so much love and support. And it's funny, some of my closest, I really love the strategy and competition side of it, but a lot of the people closest to me, a pastor I used to work for in Lincoln, Nebraska, who was a mentor of mine, I listened to a radio show where he was talking about the show, and he was like, someone asked him, how far do you think Jacob's going to get on the show? And he's like, actually, I don't think he's going to get pretty far. Now that I know it's a show about manipulation, I think he's not going to. This isn't his bread and butter. This is not what he's good at. So I think my congregation.
Take it as a compliment.
I know, I do.
Yeah.
A lot of people, when they found out the concept, were like, "Oh, Jacob, he's done. He's going to get out of there quick." So sadly, they were right.
That's too funny.
Oh, so good, but so great when you got brought back. Though I liked when you guys got brought back at that. I was like, oh, yay. When did you realize that being honest might actually hurt your chances? When did that hit you?
Yeah, I think at the end of episode 3 is when I'm the snake. And that's when I realized, like, oh, I don't have a lot of strong connections with this other side. Because when we were split apart in episode 1, that really did play a role in those first 2 episodes. So the snake chain went, the people who did the first challenge picked each other, and then our dinner party group came next. And that happened in the exact same scenario, those first 2 episodes. And so in episode 3, I really wanted to try to target that group and try to get rid of 1 or 2 of what we termed the bros, because I felt like that was the best strategic move for me. But I was working with McLean, who was my double-headed snake, and I knew that she really liked Jack. And at that point, that's such a cute relationship. So I'm shipping Jack and McLean. And so McLean really liked Jack, and my closest ally, which was Derek, thought that maybe Jack could be removed from the bros, and that was a little bit fluid. And so he thought there was an avenue there. And so I was like, okay, let's just try this. Let's try something new. I'm just going to pretend that this is a church meeting and bring together the two sides and try to create something new. In the back of my head, I thought there's a good possibility this could all fall apart, but that pastoral side of me really thought I should give it a chance and maybe it'll work.
So let's take it back to the first week. If you could do the first week all over again, how would you do it?
Good question. I think the first week was probably my best week. You mentioned a lot of chaos in the way that things played out. And I saw a comment online that said, the pastor has been unintentionally causing chaos every episode. And it's so true. Episodes 2, 3, and 4, I was in the middle of the chaos. Episode 1 was probably my best episode. And that's the one where I made a pact with Derek and Amanda. And that is something that I would do over again in a heartbeat. I really enjoyed working with them. I think if I were to redo episode 1, I would be more emotionally committed to Frankie and Alyssa as well, because it was very clear to me as time went on that they were 2 people that I connected with on an emotional and personal level. And I wish I'd been able to maybe cultivate that earlier. So maybe I would do that differently in episode 1.
So hard to look back and think about how you would do it differently. I'm sure there must have been like so many things that went through your head. Also, while you're waiting in the hotel room for the show to wrap up, afterwards, I just can't imagine everything that went through your head. So looking back on everything you went through and being in that moment, what did you learn about yourself from being in such a manipulative environment?
Yeah, wow. So something that I've been thinking a lot about is how I went into the experience thinking that a strength of mine was being emotionally grounded, because as a pastor, I see the most difficult aspects of human life on a daily basis. Talking with people when they've lost a loved one, or someone dies by suicide, or I deal a lot with unhoused folks or folks who are overdosing. And so at these really dark moments of their lives. And so I thought I could just roll with any scenario and just stay emotionally grounded, be the non-anxious presence in the room. But I was surprised by how emotionally challenging it was, how easy it was to get flustered, how easy it was to kind of just feel emotionally drained. And so what I learned about myself that I've kind of had to come to terms with is just being more open with your own moments of weakness or moments of failure, and being okay with that we all have these moments where things are hard. And I thought I was going to be the one that like navigated that well. And it was challenging. And so I think something I've learned about myself is just kind of being able to sit within the difficult moments as well, and be okay when it is too difficult or too overwhelming, that you don't have to be the one who is coping at every moment.
Got it. Now, random question, kind of. Did you like have just kind of like piggyback off of like what you're talking about? Did you have like or like come up with like any daily like rituals that you did like when you were in that position that you were never in before? Like, in a reality show with all these other people? Like, did you like maybe like do like a morning prayer or like do something like maybe yoga or something just to kind of like get your like to like just kind of keep your mental sanity and just kind of like take things as they come. Did you like
Yeah.
have like any kind of ritual?
I did. It was pretty easy, despite being in this small space with so many people, to find places where you could be alone for just a few moments. And so I was always someone who was trying to just put myself out there, find people, have conversations. But I tried every day to just take a couple of moments during the day to go off into a room where no one else was and just kind of pray, meditate, um, and and sometimes just cry. On one of the episodes, they have me sitting in a chair. I'm in kind of some workout gear and I'm just sobbing. I was thinking about my wife and daughter and just kind of thinking about and praying about them. And so that was probably part of my routine of the day was, even though I really wanted to spend most of my moments talking with people, giving myself permission to kind of go lay down for a minute or go find a little space to just think my own thoughts.
Looking back, and of course, the villain we all love to love, Miss Catherine, who has so many damn talents. My goodness, she has so many talents. But Pastor Jacob, we have to talk about that confrontation with Catherine. I mean, one of the most like iconic lines seen in the previews was, "Oh my God, like." Oh my God, I can't even remember right now.
Praying that
Yes.
you burn.
Yes, which
God's praying that you burn.
Oh my God, I'm so thankful you were there in the moment. I was so worried watching the preview that you were going to be there when she saw that, but right, you weren't there when she said it.
No, I wasn't there when she said it.
Yeah, she was talking to, the other crew and stuff, but what is your perspective now that you have watched it back or even when you first saw that? Okay, first of all, what was the thought when you first saw the preview? And then what was your thought when you actually saw it?
Yeah. So when I
And
first
where's
saw the
my
preview,
popcorn at? Sorry.
I know, right? Such an iconic moment. When I first saw the preview, I couldn't help but just laugh at that line. It was so funny. And watching it back, I give all my kudos to Catherine because she really came to play. And that is an aspect of the way she played the game that I admire. The fact that she came in with that strategy list, that she came in trying to execute it as well as possible. Because I was one of the people who was fooled on that first saving ceremony when she's crying. I was down there mouthing to her, "It's okay, you got this." I believed it wholeheartedly. And so he got me. And so over the next couple of days, she just was saying things to me that started to contradict. And so that's when I kind of realized, okay, this isn't someone that I can trust to be telling me the truth. But I love that she came to play. And so I have no hard feelings about that confrontation with Catherine. I respect that way more than someone who was just there operating in ways that didn't jive with my worldview, but wasn't doing it strategically. Catherine, it was all part of the game. It was all strategy. I love that. And what's really amazing, she goes down there, right, and tells the bros, like, Jacob's got to go. I don't care that he's a priest, I think she says on that one. I don't care that he's a pastor. And they all jump up and run to defend her. And then it cuts to her saying, strategy number whatever, create a scapegoat.
Ride or die with us.
You, me, Brett, and Devontae, we're really good. 21. Latch onto the strongest players immediately.
Core 4. Catherine is a sweet little girl, trustworthy, and I think genuine.
I've just really navigated how easy it is to manipulate them and just how much dumber they are than I am.
And you just have to be amazed, like that, she did it. I'm now the scapegoat. These guys are angry at me, even though she's the one lying to their face. So That was awesome.
Kudos, Catherine.
Yes.
But also, way to handle, though, everything that was all of the punches that was thrown your way.
Yeah. I foolishly thought in that it's kind of my downfall in episode 3. I'm like, okay, let's sit down with Jack and Devontae and we're going to create something new. In episode 4, and a lot of people have told me, again, I didn't really watch that much reality competition show. People have told me, like, you never call a house meeting. You never sit down with a bunch of people in one setting and talk about it. That's always going to go poorly. And I didn't know that. I just thought, like, let's bring the interested parties together and we're going to have a conversation about this. And I thought that would open everyone's eyes to what was going on with Catherine and we'd all get on the same page. But it did not work that way.
Lesson learned.
Lesson learned.
You also have spoken in, I believe, in other interviews as well. And we've seen moments on the show, but some of the religious trauma that came up from the other contestants, how did that affect you emotionally? I mean, you're already underneath a pressure cooker, you're away from home in a different environment, in a situation that's like out of your norm as the pastor too, and just like how you go about life. But then on top of that, you have some religious trauma that maybe you need to work through with other contestants. So how did that impact you emotionally or just, as you're being?
Yeah, I think that was very much at play. And I went into it coming from a context where I have been with my congregation for 9 years now. And so I've developed a lot of trust with the people that I serve. And so I went into it thinking that there was going to be a default level of trust awarded to me by virtue of my profession. And when I found that wasn't the case, it was a little bit jarring that these people were off the bat a little wary, a little distrustful, not sure what to make of having a pastor in the house. And who wants, while you're trying to have fun and party in this house, who wants a guy sitting next to you in a collar observing you, right? That's probably pretty awkward. And so I've thought a lot about that and processed that sort of some of the initial skepticism and distrust, and just kind of come to the conclusion that that's probably really healthy. I think there are people in our country who give a lot of blind trust to clergy people just because they're clergy. And the result of that is it leads them down a path to where they get involved in religious cults or they are spiritually or emotionally manipulated by pastors. There are a lot of pastors who are, bad apples. And so it's probably good for people to have a little bit of wariness or just a cautious approach when they meet clergy, just to find out if they're someone that they really can trust. So I don't, again, begrudge anybody if they had initial skepticism about me, because I think that is healthy to have some initial skepticism about clergy.
Appreciate the perspective you have on that.
Yeah.
Most definitely. Now, did you have like many cast members like come up to you or approach you, like tell you something like maybe like, at first I really didn't want to have anything to do with you. You being a pastor freaked me out, and then maybe their mind changed their perspective. Did that happen at all?
Yeah, and I'm grateful to have had a few of those conversations with some of the cast members who shared with me how their perspective shifted and changed. And it's funny, Catherine told me that she thought that I wasn't a real pastor, that was part of the game, was to bring in someone who was wearing a collar, and no way could there actually be a pastor here. And so I thought that was really funny. And I think some others besides Catherine thought that too, like, the shoe's gonna drop and we're gonna find out this guy is not even a pastor.
So funny. So funny. Now, in our previous interview, Pastor Jacob, Brett did make some comments questioning your level of faith. Do you have any response to that?
Sure. I did watch the interview, and so I saw his comments, and I know one of the things he mentioned was he felt like he never saw me pray. I think that was one of his main assertions as to how he came to that conclusion, which I think is just kind of a silly thing to say. I think that there are a few verses that help me understand my own prayer life as a pastor and as a person of faith. I think, first of all, it's just kind of good to know what the purpose of prayer is in the first place. There's a lot of misconception around prayer, as if prayer is a transactional relationship. We kind of put a coin in the God slot machine and pull the handle with our prayer request and hopefully get what it is that we ask for. And that's not the purpose of prayer at all. Prayer is more so about having a conversation with God, of being able to dialogue, share our inner thoughts and emotions, but also to open ourselves up to what God might be sharing with us, and to be able to shape ourselves and shift and change based on that dialogue with God. And so kind of what steers my prayer life, first of all, is there's a verse in the Bible from the letter of 1 Thessalonians chapter 5. Paul says, pray without ceasing. And that's always been part of how I operate as a person of faith, is I feel like my entire life is a prayer. So I'm always praying. I'm praying right now. I think of prayer as just this constant dialogue, to where the thoughts that I'm having or the things that I'm saying, I'm always kind of presenting that to God, or having this open posture of, God, this is what I'm thinking or feeling. What is it that you want from me? And so I operate that way. All of my actions themselves are a prayer. I pray without ceasing. And so I was always praying on the show. And then there's another passage in Matthew chapter 6. This is the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus's famous sermon in the Gospel of Matthew. And he tells people that they should go in a room alone to pray, which seems a little weird, but kind of the point of that passage is speaking against people who have these shows of religiosity, where they want people to see them practicing their religion. And more so, religion or faith is about being authentic and faithful. And so, like I said, it was part of my daily routine to kind of find a space where I could be alone in order to pray, rather than kind of bringing people into my own religiosity. So I know that's one thing he mentioned. I think something else he mentioned was he heard me say "goddamn" or something like that. And my approach to swearing is, swear words, what we think of as these 4-letter words, only have the power that we give them. And swear words are one way that we communicate our feelings or emotions. But what I think of, and they don't harm anybody, right? What I think of as more pernicious, harmful swearing are the ways in which people use their words to speak harm to other people, to say things that are racist, sexist, homophobic. I would consider that swearing that actually harms people, rather than using curse words that is just part of our vernacular. So I think those are the two things he mentioned. So those are my thoughts on those two topics. But I have been a person of faith my entire life. I take my faith very seriously. Obviously, I felt called to the ministry, and I've been an ordained clergy person for 13 years. And so this is my life, is helping people practice the Christian faith, and also relating to people of all faiths and no faith, and to say we can be united no matter our philosophical or religious approach in trying to make the world a better place and in showing love to our neighbor. So that's something that is important to me because I'm a Christian, but I think it's something that's important because we're all human.
Thank you for sharing your thoughts on that, and also what he had to say. Man, Kimberly, I don't know about you. I'm excited to go to church on Sunday, though. So, Pastor Jacob, thank you for getting me hyped up for Sunday, though.
All right,
Seriously.
church hype. You got it.
Oh, you never
Seriously.
all decked out. It's an event for me. I took my friend to mass at 7 o'clock the last Sunday. She wasn't that happy, but she was glad I got her out. I just won't go early.
That's so fun.
With the world feeling especially divided right now, what advice would you give to people who are trying to find common ground? Because it really seems like everyone is divided on every single front. And I also appreciate all the advocacy work that I see that you are doing by creeping on your social media and everything. But what advice would you give, Pastor Jacob?
Yeah, that's a really important question. And I think that what is so polarizing is the media and our social media keeps us in our own echo chambers where we really only hear from people who think the same way we do, who look the same way we do, who believe the same things we do. And if we didn't allow the most extreme polarizing voices to dominate the conversation, I think we would be able to have more constructive dialogue with each other about what's important to us. And so it's no secret on my social media how I identify politically as someone who is extremely progressive. But I love dialoguing with people on the other side of the aisle or on the other side of that spectrum to just say, at a bare minimum, can we agree that we want to love other people, that we want other people to flourish and feel good about themselves and not be consumed by hatred? Like if we can start there, and sadly some people can't start there, and that's just a tragic reality of what it means to be part of a society. But if we can just start there with people and just say, hey, how can we mutually show love to people, mutually work to enable human flourishing? Maybe even if we don't agree on everything, we can figure out some ways we can work together to make that happen. So that would just be my encouragement to folks in these divided times is don't let your understanding of other people be defined by these really extreme polarizing voices that make money off of putting that content out there. But instead, listen to folks.
Good point.
Find some common ground rooted in love. And I think we could do some good things together.
Can I get an amen?
Amen. Right.
Yes. Oh, one other question before we get into the lightning round. Kimberly, do you have one? Otherwise, I can fire one off.
Oh, I'm good. Yeah, you can fire them off.
Okay. Would you ever return for another season? And if so, what would you do differently?
Yeah. I actually, now that I've had some time to process and step away from the experience for a little bit, I'm craving another opportunity to do something like this. So if there's another reality competition show that they want to put a pastor on, I'm in. And what
Big
I would do
Brother.
that, I still haven't seen Big Brother, but I kind of read about it and followed what was happening.
That makes it better. That makes it better.
Yeah.
Keep it fresh. Go in with no preconceptions.
Yeah. What I would do differently, I think I'm more equipped to remain emotionally grounded. And so what I would do differently is just allow myself to be strategic and play the game. It doesn't mean that I need to devolve into deception. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with deception in these games because that's part of the game. If that's your strategy,
Right.
great.
Yeah.
I would still be Pastor Jacob and still be myself, but I would allow myself to really think through every decision, every conversation. And I would love to give myself another chance to just kind of use my head and be strategic and not worry so much about what are these other players going to think about me? What is everyone watching going to think about me? I think they'll see me, but I want them to see me as someone who can play the game strategically. I didn't allow myself to do that to the best of my abilities, and I want another chance to do that.
Let's make it happen, as Kimberly says. Let's manifest it.
All right.
Manifest it. And Don't be calling out anyone who might have like not eaten all the food. I think that's what did you in a little bit too, but that's okay though.
3, go!
Come on.
Come on, back in.
Come on, Jack.
In a world full of snakes, Pastor Jacob will definitely be a copperhead. He's just going to kind of sneak around, lay low, and then strike you whenever he can.
Brian's competing. Cody's just given up. He's pushed the plate away. Let's go. It's really Jacob and Jack. That's what I'm seeing here.
Yo, lock it in. Let's go.
Who wants it the most? Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
I am in a precarious position and I need to win.
Jack and Jacob for the win. Who wants to control the game? Come on.
Swallow.
Oh, Jack did it again. Undeniable, son. Undeniable. There you go, Jack. Let's go. Your undeniable snake, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up.
Too, but that's okay though. Yeah.
I know. It's so funny in that moment. Like I was just so wrapped up in the competition, and then
I get why you did it, and a lot of people would call it out though, Pastor Jacob, in another show. That was just their way. Like they needed like an actual nugget, I feel like, to just like officially come at you because you were a pastor, I feel like. And that was like their easy way in my opinion, and no shade to their game.
oh, hey, no, I know shade, and that really what just looking back, what could have gone differently. That sense of competitiveness and justice, like there's a bunch of food in my bucket and I didn't spit in it, so someone else did. Like, let's figure out what's going on. Sure, that's well and good in the real world, but in that moment where like I need people to be on my good side, yeah, I wish I would have shut my mouth.
Yeah. Oh, so many lessons learned, but no lessons needed here for this lightning round of questions.
Okay,
are you
let's
ready?
do it. I'm ready.
Okay, let's do this, Pastor Jacob. So when I say these questions, just name, of course, the first thing that comes to mind. Strongest player on the snake.
Derek.
Okay. Most unexpected ally.
Ooh. Alyssa?
Okay. Most dangerous player. I'm really curious about this one.
Catherine, for sure.
Okay.
You just never knew what she was going to do, what lies she was going to tell, who she was going to save. That's dangerous.
Yes. One person you never trust again in the game.
Catherine. I can't trust Catherine.
But as we know, she's just doing it for the game, not like she's not doing it with like ill like intent in her heart.
Not at all.
Though.
I mean,
so for that we love her as the villain.
Yeah, for that we love
her.
Absolutely.
Yes. One person you'd grab coffee with tomorrow.
Ooh. I still talk a lot with Alyssa, and so I savor those moments of conversation with her, and so I would always grab coffee with her, Frankie. I'd also love to grab coffee with my close ally Derek. I don't feel like we got to know each other on a game level, but maybe not on a personal level. I'd love to get to know him more. So I'll grab coffee with anybody. Anybody you come to California, let me know. I'd love to grab coffee with you.
Very good. What song describes your gameplay?
What song describes my gameplay? Oh man, you're gonna have to help me out on this one. I grew up in a deaf family. A lot of my family members are deaf, and so
and that's a part of your teachings, right? Don't you do deaf work too?
Yeah. My first language was American Sign Language. I started at a deaf church right out of seminary, and so I didn't grow up listening to a lot of music, and I still don't. I'm kind of an audiobook and podcast guy. So I don't know a lot of music. You got to help me out.
Favorite podcast then. Favorite podcast.
Yeah.
Favorite podcast, I love Radio Lab, Revisionist History. all the ones that like give you a little nugget of knowledge.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Radiolab's cool.
And this is a question that Kimberly would appreciate. Bible verse that got you through the chaos.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Something that is just a guiding verse for me always is that the peace of Christ which surpasses all understanding. So give thanksgiving in all circumstances, and the peace of Christ which surpasses all understanding will come to you. And so just kind of understanding that there's a way to access a peace that even in the most chaotic moments can help bring you down a little bit.
Love that.
Awesome.
And lastly, what is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show? Because I know that you don't necessarily watch a lot of reality TV, but what is your favorite guilty pleasure TV show?
I wish I had more time to watch TV because there's so much good stuff out there. So probably
Bluey?
Favorite it's Bluey right now, which is actually
So
really
good, though. It's so good.
That's a guilty pleasure.
Yeah.
Maybe sometimes I suggest putting Bluey on. Schitt's Creek is a favorite to watch and rewatch. I love that show. And so I don't watch a lot of reality competition show, but I've always been a fan of the Bachelor franchise.
Okay.
And so I've missed the last couple seasons, but I used to love Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise.
Sweet.
Yeah, I really liked this season of Bachelor in Paradise. It was really good.
I didn't see that one, but they brought in the Goldens.
Yeah, it was really good. It was beautifully shot too. Highly recommend it. You can still watch it, but life be busy though. That is for sure. Yes. But this has really been such a thoughtful and eye-opening conversation. I feel like I'm going to have gone to church twice this week. So thank you, Pastor Jacob from Kimberly and I. But the snake may have been full of twists and betrayals, but Pastor Jacob reminded us that even in the chaos, there is room for compassion and integrity. So before we wrap, Jacob, please tell everyone where they can follow you, learn more about your message, and what is next in your world.
Yeah, so I can be found on TikTok at The Inclusive Pastor or on Instagram at the.inclusive.pastor. And so, like I said in this interview, even if you don't agree with me, I think we can find common connection. And so would love to connect with you and have conversations with you on social media. What's next for me? I am just back full steam into my church. I'm a little bit of a workaholic, and so I just do a lot with my work in the church and in the community, and so I love that. My wife and I are still in the throes of IVF, and so if y'all are praying people, say some prayers. We would love a second child. We're doing a frozen embryo transfer in a little less than a month, so a couple of weeks from now.
Sending lots of prayers.
Thank you.
Oh, very, very nice. And also, I know you have a lot of advocacy work coming up as well with the LGBTQ community as well, and schools. And so thank you for all that you do and putting yourself out there again in such a divisive and divided time right now. So we need more of you out there. So thank you very much for that. But we love seeing how each of the Snake cast members brought something totally unique to the game. And Pastor Jacob's mix of faith and strategy might just be one of the most unexpected and inspiring stories yet. So again, a huge thank you, Pastor Jacob, for joining us today on the Villa Download. And make sure to like, subscribe, and share this episode. And don't miss our next one. We will keep slithering through the snake cast lineup. There might be a couple more coming up. So stay in the know. We'll keep you in the loop. Until next time, guys, stay real, stay curious, and stay a little bit snaky. Take care, everyone.